I take you back to the first Matrix movie, and the Morpheus character holds up a battery and he says, the Matrix is a computer generated dream world designed to turn humans into one of these, a battery. And as I turned, all I could hear was, and I turned around and she's holding her chest. She said, my God, I wasn't going to tell you about that. It wasn't like, oh my God, what's that? No, everyone stayed calm. Like, oh yeah, this is what happens.
I always get tired of it being implied that these forces and these entities have more power than us. Okay, and there are people who are religious who will say, well, just call on Jesus and pray. But why is something being allowed to F with us constantly is the big unanswered question. Why is something being allowed to F with me or try to F with me and mess up my life, my environment, my world constantly? Why is that even being allowed? Like we're some sort of experiment or toy for something. And I personally, look, I don't talk about everything, but I've had my days when I believe that this is some sort of simulation that you can't do anything about. You can't even get out of it if you wanted to. And he said at the end, when he was talking to Neo, he said, this is what they turn you into. As a matter of fact, let's look at this real quick and what happened to humanity. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I am back with my conspiracy theories, and look, I look through the comments, I see what you're saying, and look, I have this reptilian picture up here again because some of you are saying that we live on a loosh farm, an energy harvesting farm, and some of you are claiming that it's the reptilians who are doing this, that again, I've heard that they're 5-dimensional beings. We live in the 3D, and that there are creatures, aliens, demons, other life forms, all of this that live in the 5D. The 5D is the world you can't see. You know, when they say stuff is spiritual, oh, that's the 5D. You live in the 3D. 3D is physical. This is something that I hear others say, no, they just live in a different dimension, or they are running the planet and they harvest your energy. That's why you see all of these mass unalivings and craziness and tragedy every single week, and they love to put fear in you. This is why they love children and drinking the blood or scaring children, because there's an energy that emits off of you when you are afraid that they kind of get high off of. Okay, so people are saying, oh, we live in a loosh farm. Some even say, no, we live in a prison planet. Other people are saying that this is hell and we're actually in it and don't know it. Other people are saying, no, it's an energy harvesting farm and we're nothing but cattle. Like in that movie They Live, when he says we could be livestock. We're just here for them to feed off of. Some people even believe that they are eating us, okay? Kidnapping us and eating us, or eating us after we pass away. Or again, the topic today is about being on a loosh farm, a human farm where they take our energy, and some said it could be even good energy, being happy, but usually it's being sad and depressed and scared and angry, that they get high off of this energy, literally like it's a high for them. That's what some are saying, or a prison planet theory. And other people even believe that what if these aliens are actually us in the future? Do you believe in time travel? Baby, I have a few things to show you when it comes to the movies, okay, that dive into this time travel. What if humans are the Greys and these other aliens? Something has gone wrong. Hundreds and thousands and millions of years from now, what if our planet has changed and we became more advanced and we evolved into looking like them, that they are the humans, a different type of human from the future, and they turn very evil and bad and they're harvesting you, other humans who have evolved separately. So look, let's talk about this whole loosh farm thing. And baby, what exactly are the scientists saying when it comes to this alien stuff and just all these things we hear? Let's just have a little bit of fun and dive into this subject and other things when it comes to, are we loosh? This is a loosh farm.
Had people who I know are in the know, and I've mentioned this before, and one of them told me the truth is indigestible. It's not something that we would be able to fully grasp or entertain, and that it's like, it would be like telling somebody something that they can't do anything about. and they don't know what the repercussions of that would be. It's so great. It's so world changing and transformational, and maybe not in a good way, So
I mean, what could be so jarring? What could be so disruptive? I mean, bless you.
thank
Like
you.
like the idea that we're being visited by another advanced intelligence that's more advanced than us. I mean, do you think, or is it something else?
I think it's much deeper than that. I had people who I know are in the know, and I've mentioned this before, and one of them told me the truth is indigestible.
And that might be true. It might be true. Again, I always mention religion. Now, some of you say, oh no, it would bring people closer to religion. People always say that it's talked about in the Bible, that you never provide us some evidence, a quote that proves this type of stuff. When you say, oh no, it would bring people closer to religion. Okay, finding out that there are aliens, even though I believe in aliens, and I explain parts in the Bible why I believe that there's other life out there. There are different things that you can't always see, and some things that some people do see. Okay, but is it possible that there's something out there so sinister, so something your mind could never grasp, such as you are farm animals to an alien? You're a scientific study to some of them. Or you're a Loosh farm. They just use you they do all these things on the planet just to rile you up so they can get your energy. And I hear people saying this, and they'll say, oh, you have to harness positive energy. It's all about consciousness. It's all about what you believe. It's all about your state of consciousness. But yet you're here on the planet with us still, and AKA hell to people. Not only that, but it's not realistic. Not everybody is going to be happy all day. I cannot emit happy, positive energy 24 hours a day. I cannot stay positive in thought when I'm seeing little babies getting raped every single day in mass unalivings. That's not normal to ask me to feel happy or pretend to be happy and delusional and pretend everything is all good when all around us is nothing but horror every single day here in America. So it's very difficult to think positive thoughts 24 hours a day in this type of environment. And I shouldn't have to, because that means I'm some sort of toy. Like you think I'm a toy. Jump up, act happy. Come on, act happy. We need you to act happy. Change the environment. Once you act real happy, all these tragedies you see every day is going to go away. Just maintain it. Act happy every single day with all your might, with all your heart. Just maintain the happiness and the faith 24 hours. I mean, that sounds like abuse to me. It sounds like mental abuse. Like, okay, we're going to do all this and we need you to try to fight to maintain faith and happiness and joy 24 hours a day, and then we're going to rape another baby next week. Like, are you serious? But that's what they say. And people are saying, see, this is a Loosh farm. They're messing with you. You're an animal to them. You're an experiment. You're just a toy to these things. Now, again, some people said they're aliens. Some people say, oh no, it's demons. You're in hell already. Then they say, oh no, they're us in the future. All these different type of things that I'm hearing. So let's look at some videos real quick of what is a Loosh farm and a film called The Matrix that I instantly thought of when I heard of this theory that we're in a Loosh farm.
And I've met Satanists and people that took part in rituals against their will, who have told me of their experiences. And these are major players like the royal family, British royal family, Dutch royal family, all that stuff, all major players in this satanic ritual culture. And so then I asked that question I mentioned a few minutes ago. Oh, so what do the gods get out of it? I take you back to the first Matrix movie, and the Morpheus character holds up a battery and he says, the Matrix is a computer-generated dream world designed to turn humans into one of these, a battery. And that's when a massive understanding started to come to me from many different sources, which I talk about in the books. These, quote, gods, these entities, are feeding off human energy, but it's a particular type of human energy. This is mainstream science. Again, every time we feel emotion, every time we think, we're generating frequencies. And those frequencies, in terms of what the frequencies are, relate to the nature of the emotion and the nature of the thought. And scientists have worked out what these frequencies are for different emotions, right? And
is that like when you go into a room and you kind of feel like, oh, there's a bad energy in here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you go into an old house where there's been a lot of really bad things gone on, see, when the people involved in the bad things are giving off that vibe, and unless someone goes into that house and changes the frequency, they sit there vibrating. So you go into it and you think, oh, this is horrible, God, because you're picking the vibe up, right? So these are the energies I'm talking about. So these entities, by their very nature, are very low vibrational in nature, because anyone that wants to impose their will and manipulate and cause suffering and war and death and destruction is in a very low vibrational state. And if they're going to feed off human energy, they can only feed off it if we are delivering it within the band of frequency they can absorb.
So I understand all of this. My thing is that we're not all going to vibe high. We're not all happy people. I don't vibe high every single day that I get up. I'm not a happy person every day. I shouldn't have to do this in my own world. I shouldn't have to act all happy and super happy when I'm seeing all of this horrible stuff every single day. Now, if the collective of humanity would try to be nicer and happier, that would be great. And you do have a number of people who act like that. I see them all the time. You equally have a number who aren't like that, and we see that all the time. I mean, people, we say this, but can you control billions of people on the planet to act happy and act caring and loving? No, you can't. You can hope for it, you can pray about it, but have you actually seen it? I don't want to live somewhere where I have to emit happiness 24 hours a day. Like, I'm a damn robot and I'm a toy. But according to them, there's entities that's feeding off of this negative energy, might even control it by making bad things happen in your reality and these type of things to get a reaction from you of sadness and horror and pain, because they're literally using you like a hookah.
Hey friends, so I was on the Jeff Mara podcast the other day, and he asked a lot of great questions because he's a great interviewer. One of the questions that got the most reaction from the audience, and I got the most direct messages and questions about, was when he asked me about Loosh and what my thoughts were on Loosh. So I thought I'd do a little video here on TikTok land about that. So Loosh, in a nutshell, Robert Monroe coined this term many decades ago, was what he found out through his journeys in the astral about we emit an energy. Everything basically emits an energy, and it can be a negative or a positive energy. And I'm just going to simplify this. And there's things out there that can possibly feed off of or process or use that energy. So there's a theory that we're just like a Loosh farm, and that, there's higher, more advanced beings, right, that would kind of on purpose stimulate us to produce certain amounts of energies or certain types of energies. Like, say, for example, they could create a situation that it would create a bunch of stress, and we would produce a stress energy, or they would create a bunch of fear and we'd be pumping out fear, and fear is like a palpable energy that can actually be harvested and used by, say, like a parasitic type of a being, right? So this is basically what Loosh is. This is what Robert Monroe found out, is that this was happening, and it threw him for a loop. He actually took him months to process it and to really figure out what all this meant and everything. And through his teachings, through my deep research into all this, through personal experience and through talking to a lot of people, and just through immersing myself into this and just getting as much information from different sources. There's a lot of different kind of consciousness researchers and astral realm researchers and people that have, even back thousands of years, dove into philosophically this subject. And basically what I've been able to conclude through all this is that the point of our world, our simulation, our reality here, is not to produce Loosh, right? That's not the point. We weren't created as a Loosh farm, but a byproduct of the human life experience, a byproduct of us being here on Earth, animals, humans, everything. We're emotional beings, and our emotions produce energy, right? They produce this, you would call it Loosh, that is something that can be at a collective, at a mass scale, it can be used. It can be, I guess you would say harvested or kind of taken as a fuel source.
Putting a human being into a low vibrational state by creating a circumstance in their life that puts them into a depressive state would then give off an energy that they like, because they like the sadness, fear, trauma, and especially tears. So somebody, with their head in their hands crying is the energy is called Loosh, Loosh, and it's very, very high-powered energy. So for them, very, very, very. So they would somehow calculate an event, even in dreams. I mean, I've had dreams where I've been crying in a dream, and I know that the 4D it's been mixed and done so that would happen.
I always get tired of it being implied that these forces and these entities have more power than us. Okay, and there are people who are religious who will say, well, just call on Jesus and pray. But why is something being allowed to F with us constantly is the big unanswered question. Why is something being allowed to F with me or try to F with me and mess up my life, my environment, my world constantly? Okay. Why is that even being allowed? Like we're some sort of experiment or toy for something. And I personally, look, I don't talk about everything, but I've had my days when I believe that this is some sort of simulation. Some sort of simulation that you can't do anything about. You can't even get out of it if you wanted to. Now, the Matrix was a simulation. It was a simulation that human beings' minds were put into. So when I heard about Loosh, again, I thought of the Matrix when he met Morpheus, and Morpheus told him that you've been living in a fake world. The real world humans created AI way longer than what you know about. I thought of Terminator, and that AI took over, and that there was a war, and that AI basically won. The machines took over humans and put humans into a deep sleep where they fed you unalive human beings and created a matrix, and that apparently there had been several different matrices, a matrix that they had created. They tried to create a perfect world and said they didn't work for humans because humans are not like that. So now you have all this good and bad mixed together, and that they feed off of the energy. They said that we produce a lot of energy as a human baby, as a human period, and that they didn't need the battery. Instead, they're going to use you, your emotions, everything you go through, what you feel, living as an energy source of the humans. And he said at the end, when he was talking to Neo, he said, this is what they turn you into. You were turned into a battery, a human battery for machines that were created by human beings, AI, that took over. And what do we see happening right now? Look at the Terminator movie. In the Terminator, he said humans created AI. They had it plugged in all the systems, and it took over and ended us, basically. And in the Matrix is sort of the same theme, except we became their slaves by becoming their batteries, living in an AI artificial world that looks physically real, but it's not. And you hear people say, oh, you're 3D, you're a physical being. The 5D is spirituality. You can manifest your reality if you think differently and become more spiritual and have these positive thoughts 24 hours a day, which is not realistic, but have them 24 hours a day and what you want, and be happy and follow the universal religious laws. And then it will become your physical reality. If you want something, if we agree with it, if it lines up to our rules and our way of life, the religious entities, then you can have what you want, type of thing. I mean, it's a lot. You hear these things, but the common theme, AI took over for way longer than what you know. You are being controlled by some machines, some sort of force or whatever. You're in a simulation, a computerized fake world, and you are a human battery to them, and they're feeding off of your energy. Okay, now they're saying these entities is called Loosh. Okay, so again, some people say that, oh, it's the reptilians from the 5D. Others say, no, they're in the inner earth. No, they're on earth already right around you. They shapeshift. You hear these things and then you hear, oh no, they're human beings. They're grays. They're this and that. All types of different stuff that you hear.
I met 12 separate people that told me the same story, which is of seeing someone, apparently human, who changed into a reptilian figure in front of their eyes and then went back again. And I was turning as I was speaking. And as I turned, all I could hear was, and I turned around and she's holding her chest. She said, my God, I wasn't going to tell you about that. She said, I thought even you would think I'm crazy. And she tells me the story. She said, what happened was she went out one night and she said, I walking through the forest and she saw a light. She said, so I walked through the trees quietly and I looked through where the light was. She said, and there was this ring of people wearing robes. She said, and the person conducting the conducting the ritual in his robe was Ted Heath. She said, and standing next to him was a guy called Anthony Barber, who was Heath's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He was Prime Minister at the time this was happening. She had this experience. And she said, I'm looking. I said, I was shocked, obviously, but I'm looking. And she said, suddenly, Heath shifted into a reptilian form and grew about 2 feet. Now, that is an absolutely common theme I've heard all over the world, that when they shift into a reptilian form, they get taller and bigger. Because that's the real entity behind the human facade, you see. What shocked me more than anything is the rest of the ring didn't react. It was like it was the most natural thing ever. It wasn't like, oh my God, what's that? No, everyone stayed calm. Like, oh yeah, this is what happens. I met 12 separate people that told me the same story, which is of seeing someone, apparently human, who changed into a reptilian figure.
What do you believe? A lot of you believe. What do you believe? So we're hearing different things, that it's the aliens, the reptilians, the demons. Oh no, it's humans from millions of years later. We are the ones who have evolved into these things. Something happened on the planet. Oh, they're doing time travel to come back to save us from becoming this. And this is why you're having these experiences. Oh, deja vu is a glitch in the matrix. All these things. So let me put you on to another movie real quick that I definitely thought about when I'm hearing all of these things that I really want you to check out. Okay, so this film is one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite stories by H.G. Wells. It's called The Time Machine. This is a common theme in the movies. If it's not the Matrix and shapeshifting reptilians and simulations, another thing that I see coming up in a lot of films with time travel is human beings changing in the future, technology turning to the worst, and Terminator, what happens in the future, the future. And some people said, again, oh, we're in a simulation. Some people believe in time travel and that things will be much different, maybe not for the best in the future. So, and they said, what if these evil entities and evil things as human beings who have, like in that film Interstellar, have created something beyond the 5D and 3D, something bigger and greater? And what if we ended up turning into bad things and we ended up doing experiments and stuff that I can't even think of right now? But the time machine, look at those eyes. You see those eyes up top? Where would you go? The Time Machine is one of the greatest films in the world to me. This came out in about 2002, 2005 or something. I love it. It's with Samantha Mumba. And basically, this guy, a scientist, he built a time machine. People didn't believe time travel was possible. As a matter of fact, let's look at this real quick. And what happened to humanity?
This man accidentally fell asleep in the time machine. When he woke up, 800,000 years had passed. By then, the Earth had undergone earth-shattering changes, and the technological level had completely regressed to the primitive society. All humans were living on the cliffs. Fortunately, the language had been passed down, so communicating with them was not difficult. Alexander looked up at the sky, and the moon was completely broken, and he happened to know the reason why the moon became like this. Alexander, along with the chief's daughter, found his time machine and then recounted his previous experiences. It turned out that Alexander, traveling in the time machine, had once reached the year 2030. At that time, humans were focused on only one thing: achieving lunar migration. Scientists decided to blast a hole on the lunar surface and develop it into a tourist resort. However, 7 years later, humanity faced a disaster. Because the scientists miscalculated the amount of explosives, they actually blew the moon in half. Countless meteorites continuously hit the Earth, leading to the destruction of humanity. Alexander fainted during his escape and accidentally arrived 800,000 years later. After hearing this story, the chief's daughter urged Alexander to leave quickly because it wasn't safe here. As soon as she finished speaking, an alarm sound came from the direction of the tribe. It turned out that not all humans 800,000 years later lived on the ground. A branch of humanity had taken refuge underground to survive and eventually evolved into the Morlocks. Every once in a while, they would drill out from the ground and hunt humans on the surface for food.
Okay, so with the time machine, look, you need to see this film. I'm not sure if it's on Tubi. You might have to just check a streaming service or order it off eBay. The DVD is so good. But basically, humanity had evolved differently. And I had said before, I believe that it's possible that inner earth beings are humans who evolved underground. Our ancestors might have got trapped underground in cave systems from long ago and evolved separately. They say as above, as below, meaning humanoids, aliens, humanoids up top in space. They exist. You exist on the surface of Earth. What if there are beings in the ocean, the marine kingdom, mermaids, all of that? Human beings or sort of something like that evolved differently like us for millions of years in the water, above us in space, those of us on the surface, in underground in the inner earth. We all evolved differently. Maybe we came from the same source, but evolved differently. That's just a theory. I'm not saying it's 100% true. But in the time machine, that's what happened. The moon got destroyed because humans always want to venture off and do stuff, but they didn't calculate it right. The moon almost fell on Earth, almost. And things happened. Humans went underground and evolved into a separate species that ended up eating human beings. Completely different evolution. Evolution had happened because of our actions as human beings. As a matter of fact, listen to what this man said, who is an AI. He's artificial intelligence, a computer system, but he managed to stay intact for millions. 800,000 years had passed when the moon fell and our species had evolved separately. So listen to what he said.
Divine. Can you tell me what's happening here?
Well, my sources are no longer fully annotated and my information is somewhat anecdotal. But I believe what was once one race is now two.
He says, I believe what was once one race is now two. Hopefully it didn't mess up, because when I have to pause because of copyright issues, that can happen. But he is a very highly advanced AI system at a library. 800,000 years has passed, but he stayed intact, and he told him what is going on here. And he said again, well, I believe what was one species, the humans, you're now two species from evolution. Okay, so let's see a little bit more of what's going on when it comes to 5D and 3D and the reptilians and stuff.
Over the last 4,500 years, the 4D galactic and reptilian beings were slowly pulling humanity and the Earth into lower frequencies. We watched as hundreds of thousands of human abductions and experiments took place. Over 60 hybrid races were created. Implants were used on thousands of humans to control and manipulate their behavior. The human life force was being pulled out of them by the reptilian. There were race wars in the 4D field, and new 3D humanoid races were physically on the Earth plane. This was, by all accounts, the most tumultuous and traumatic time in Earth's 3D history. We refer to this as Earth's second fall from grace. It was the first time since Earth began in the 3D field that her light quotient and humanity's collective frequency shifted down. We watched as humanity went through the most destructive period of its third dimensional existence. The Reptilians' intentions for entering the 5D grid were to understand the energy within the human form. They were curious about the way energy was held within the human body and how to access and use it for their own purposes. They knew that energy was light, and light was a life force for other consciousnesses, including reptilians. Light created more power or more abilities for a consciousness. If reptilians could pull energy from the humans, they could then increase their own life force and create more power. When we talk about power, we don't mean control. Instead, we are referring to a being feeling more energetic frequencies within their own form, becoming more alive and electric. It would feel similar to the human receiving a burst of endorphins, so their body feels high or in an altered state. This is what occurs for the reptilians when they access the energy within the human form.
Since the beginning of human history, humans have been enslaved by an unseen force called the Archons. These beings have an insatiable taste for the death and suffering of any living creature, mainly humans. When humans suffer, life force energy called Loosh is spewed from the body, making the human a tastier meal for these trans-dimensional beings. According to Robert Monroe, Loosh is created by constantly being fearful, living purely materialistic, low-vibrational intentions and thoughts, indefinite wars, poverty, natural disasters, diseases, and all situations where people suffer and die to consume their Loosh energy. The greater the suffering the living being goes through, the more Loosh energy is produced. Monroe claims he astral projected over 1,000 times and has been doing that for more than a decade. In one of his journeys to another dimension, he discovered something sinister. In the last few months of Monroe's life, he came up with a theory that planet Earth is a big energy Loosh farm. He said he used matrix glitches in our planet and reality to have interactions with light beings, explore other worlds and dimensions. Reportedly, a light being told Monroe that when humans die, their energy is released and harvested by these trans-dimensional beings, who then use it to extend their own lifespans. The claim is that the
And why is something like that being allowed to happen to human beings? Somebody explain that one, why that would be allowed.
universe is a garden created by these beings as their food source. According to Monroe, animals were intentionally equipped with fangs, claws, and speed to prolong the suffering of the predator-prey conflict. Animals are also positioned to feed off the plants and off of each other, effectively generating more Loosh. In other words, the more Loosh that is released from our bodies, the greater the meal for our creators.
Oh, so he's saying in this, oh, they created us. We're just here as a supply source for them. Nothing means anything. You're just here to give them what they want, is what they're saying. Can you imagine what would happen if you found out something like this was true? I don't have to go into detail and say much. You already know what your mind would think. Everything being a lie told towards you if something like this was real.
In the course of his astral projections, he discovered that we're living in a control system that is managed by entities who work for a demiurge that's harvesting us for what he called Loosh. He said that we're in a Loosh farm, that humans are being deliberately subjected to conditions that create extreme emotional states. Extreme suffering, misery, fear, terror, ecstasy, extreme desire, pathological impulses, and these are all being used to basically generate a form of energy that they can harvest from the human soul, including after death, where they basically juice souls for the Loosh.
Can you imagine hearing something like that? Basically, oh, heaven is not real. Hell ain't real. You're just here as some product for some highly advanced alien species that created you an alien so that they can use you to suck energy from you like a drink. Basically is what they're kind of trying to say. Now, I'm not saying this is true. These are all theories, okay? I don't know what's true and what's not true. These are just things that I hear about. Also, it's like, okay, if you're not giving any emotions that's depressive and angry and high anxiety and you don't feel anything, then what will they do when they're not getting any source of energy from you? They're not getting happiness. They're not getting sadness or fear. You're sort of like just depressive, or you just don't feel anything. You have no emotions to give at all. Then what do they do when they can't get anything out of you? Do they continue to try to make the worst things happen so they can force these type of emotions out of you like some toy? Is that what's going on? So look, this is an alien, as you can see. The gray. These are a few of the alien types we're familiar with, but I said before, some people have said, oh, the grays don't come from Zeta Reticula. The grays is y'all, the humans. This is you in millions of years because something went wrong on the planet and y'all ended up evolving into this. You got smarter, your brains got bigger, but you became more devilish, as they say, more empty, and something went wrong and you need help reproducing. So they come back in time with time travel to try to impregnate humans and create a hybrid race to get back to the glory of being human that was lost. These are things that I hear. So these are the different type of alien types I just wanted to show you. You have right here the gray. You have the Anunnaki. Okay, the Anunnaki, we know they say the Anunnaki helped create humanity. That's what some people say, and that the oldest humans are the Mesopotamian, I believe. Mesopotamia, Iran, Iraq, or whatever, that area. But they say this is the Anunnaki. They also say this is also the Anunnaki. They can look a little bit different, okay? So you have that. You have the reptilian, and there are different types of reptilians. They look human, but still with the, well, they don't look fully human, as you can see, but the scales and the reptilian. Then you have another different type of reptilian. Can you imagine seeing something like this in front of you? Most of you would pass out. And then there's the third different type of reptilian. Look at that grin, the draconian, okay? This is the draconian, actually, right here, the dragon. You have them. You have the Palladians, okay? I don't think this is the tall whites, the Nordic looking type of ones, but they look sort of Nordic too. The Palladians, you have, again, another Palladian. Look at those ears, okay? Then you have the tall whites right there. And lastly, you have an insectoid. They look like the insects. This is all allegedly, everybody. I don't know for sure. What I do believe is that there are different life forms have been created. I don't believe humans are the only thing in creation, just like we have all these animal species around us as I speak. But what do you think? Do you believe that you're in a prison planet, aka hell? You didn't necessarily pass away, but you were birthed into a prison planet. The only way to break free out of the Matrix prison planet is to vibe high and act happy all damn day, or be very religious or something. Do you believe you're in a simulation created by advanced humans that look like this from millions of years later, or actual reptilians or different type of alien species that created you and planet Earth? Do you believe you're in some highly advanced simulation like the Matrix created by AI that was created by humans and that everything you know is a lie? Or is it human beings that still are human from millions of years ago that have advanced in a way that is a little bit sinister, but advanced with technology? Do you believe we're in a Loosh farm and that all of these terrible things we see every day on the news is a way to get our emotions and sadness and depression because they're using us like a hookah? And that's what we're here for to them. This is very crazy to hear. Anything is possible. Is very depressive hearing that something like that could possibly be true. What do you believe? Do you believe that we are on a Loosh farm and that we're nothing but toys or an experiment to an alien group? And what's the way to get out? A number of you are going to say just call on Jesus. That's fine. That's fine, but has that worked for everyone? You are here with us, those of you who do this, still seeing terrible things every single day. And even if you did, do you think that you would be pulled out of here like Neo from the Matrix, that literally you would be released from here and put on heaven, you know, a nice place, and you see nice family members that passed and everyone's happy and stuff? That's what they told us heaven would be like, and flying around and just completely joyous. Is that what you think would happen? You know, when you pass away, you're actually being released from the prison. Is that what's going on? Excuse me, y'all. So let me know, what do you think? I cannot wait to hear your opinion about this. Okay, so that is it for today's video, everybody. Let me know if you believe that we are on a Loosh farm again. Okay, please get those likes up, like, share, and subscribe. I cannot wait to hear your opinion about this. I had never heard of Loosh until recently. See, I'm reading y'all comments, and I have a whole list of things I've written down to research into. So let us know what you think below in the comments section. And have you ever heard of Loosh? And this is a human energy farm. We're being harvested. Is this what you believe in, or that this is a simulation? Let us know. Bye, everybody. Take care. If you hit the bell, click all notifications so you know when I'm live and when I'm uploading. Bye.